I think I speak for me and my producer that as this show airs, we're both, because of our schedules and what we had to do today, missing the honoring at Restoration Plaza down in Brooklyn for our brother Freedom Allah, popularly known as Papa Wu, who returned to the essence, who passed away earlier this week. You know what's interesting is that I teach my course, the peace course, at a law school in Mecca, and in the last year, I had probably seen more of Papa Wu than I had seen in the maybe 4 or 5 years prior. And he's someone I knew since I got knowledge of self, all the way back in 1999. I remember one time me and my brother Day Son Allah, we was invited to his home. And it bugged me out because here he was, I'm sitting on his couch. He's asking us to do certain writings and stuff. And we're with his goals and we're working with him. And he starts building. And he goes into all these, he starts extending and going into detail without provocation. We didn't ask. All these builds that he had on Iron Man. And I'm bugging out though. I'm like, yo, I was just listening. You know, Iron Man was such a dope record. And now I'm hearing the build, the whole reasoning, what made that skit and how that skit and these skits on these Papa Wu records aren't just fanciful things that they were like, hey, say something slick right now. But they're actually bits and pull quotes. You know, like a pull quote in a magazine article. They're literally, and I'm saying this from experience, they are literally pull quotes from plus lessons that were in his mind. Set teachings of understanding, plus lessons, that he had developed in his own mind in the experiences he had teaching all of these students. And have the honor to have him teach these things so often, to have the joy of having him like just come into my classroom and get the students really with the battery in their back, you know, like, oh man, look at Papa Wu just walked into this classroom, you know what I mean? Like, always identifiable, always, you know, always always intense. You know, when people talk about like, oh, he always had that fire and stuff, man, he really did. Like, he never was not like that, you know. And you know, because I knew him that long, it was I'm gonna say something, and I have a piece that I'm writing about him. It's creative. It also gives an old piece that I wrote about the documentary made on him earlier in the decade by Khalik Allah, the incredibly talented photographer, director. But I'm adding my own thoughts on it. But there's one thing, I was wanting to describe this one thing and why Papa Wu was so great. It doesn't mean anyone else isn't in Wu or anything like that, and it sounds Cheers-like, you know, Cheers-like. And maybe this is why it fits so well in Master Killer's album, because Master Killer is like this also. But Papa Wu was the celebrity that always remembered who you were. You know what I mean? I've seen him meet certain people again that he met like a couple of times, and they might have been young folk at certain levels, and he actually knew where they were at in what he was trying to teach them. Like, did you get what I was told you the last time that I saw you, you know? And I'm thinking like, it's just like, you know, like an older brother just like saying some generic stuff. And not true. He actually remembered the rapport and the conversations, you know? Very early, I had built with him significantly. And I remember going to shows where I remember going to see Jizza live at Knitting Factory. And I didn't expect him to remember me, you know what I'm saying? And he did. He remembered everything. He remembered I was teaching class and that I was upholding that. And it's very early in me teaching the class, you know? And he's that celebrity that always remembered your name, you know? And that's so rare and so difficult. And I had, and please go back to that episode where I had Bronx's own Sauce Heist, because those brothers, Sauce Heist and Ty the Dale, you know, peace to those gods. If you want to see the hip hop legacy of Papa Wu, you just can't just look at Wu-Tang. You have to look at a bevy of artists like Louie Lou, the God Like Him, down all the way in Miami. You have to look at Kenyatta Black. You know what I mean? You have to look at these brothers, Sauce Heist and Ty the Dale, who brilliantly put so much of his understanding in his latest album, School by the Apollo, which is one of my favorite albums of the year. I'm going to mention that later in this episode, just because I love that record, you know what I mean? And to see how he was always teaching, how he always sparked them, because there are different type of teachers in this knowledge of self. I think that in many respects, some of us are just talented at teaching and we know some things and we have a very ever perfecting empathy to understand people's plights. But Papa Wu was a teacher that actually was inside the plight. You know, he was inside where everybody was and what they were dealing with, you know. So he understood the streets. He understood what was going on daily. He understood the levels that the gods were at, though, and how we were received at every moment throughout all these years. That's something not even the Wu members as MCs can say, you know. And this is this is not a dart at them. This is trying to show you that if you thought the greatness of the Wu, and you hear it in the lyrics of Jizza, Master Killer, RZA, Ghost, and Ray, and all of them, Method Man, understand though that their root of Papa Wu giving all these ideas was empowering, and because he had such a relatable way to the street, it made it very natural and non-didactic and preachy in the mindsets of the whole Wu and every rapper and every would-be rapper, MC that he met, to inject that into their music. That's a hard thing to do, you know? Excuse me. And for that, I always loved Papa Wu for that, you know what I mean? And again, like the love that he had for us, though. If we was teaching, if we was building, if we was doing something, he'd often, when he saw me after a long periods of time, he'd often call me baby, you know, his baby, you know? And you know, these terms of affection that, you know, bug me out, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, because I got knowledge of self and because of the path I took, I grew up with a great father, and I've been blessed with many other father figures. You know, I'm not one of those kids that didn't have a great father and needed father figures. Man, I'm spoiled. I have a great father, and I have many great father figures. And Papa Wu, Freedom Allah, was definitely one of them, though. You know what I mean? He lets you know that, man, there's a way to adapt and live this hip-hop creativity and life forever. You know what I'm saying? Forever. And if you see those videos, those last videos where he's building and speaking at our monthly parliament, he never lost a fire. You know what I mean? And we should all have such an honorable death that we build to the last minute. You know what I'm saying? When we talk about the samurai having an honorable death, to be able to build and go out with a flame, though. You know what I'm saying? Go out with fire. Man, it's no better way. You know what I'm saying? It's just incredible. Incredible. You know what I mean? But with that said, remembered imperfection. When I say remembered imperfection, I had made that because wherever Papa Wu is, wherever his mind is at, he's not sleeping. He's not sleeping. He's doing what he does. You know what I'm saying? If he's a supernova that exploded, though, he has recombined somewhere else and is building strong. So he's not sleeping. He's not resting in anything. We remember him, but he's in perfection, and he's on to something else, you know? And we'll build with him when we get there ourselves. So remember the perfection. Freedom Allah. Papa Wu, I love you.